Okay, so tonight what we're going to do is we're going to work through repurposing your audio and video in order to turn it into other content. You are going to need some kind of video editor in order to do this. Now, the one that is very popular amongst information marketers is going to be Camtasia. I'm going to show you here on the screen. You're looking at the version 8, and this is not the most recent version. I think there are two versions that are older than this. And I wanted to show you this to underscore the point that to do some of the things that we're going to be doing, you don't necessarily have to have the most cutting edge technology. Now, quite honestly, I don't even know how you would get an older version of Camtasia. But if you have a later version, you're going to be able to use it. However, if you have an older version, you're going to be able to keep up just fine. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use this, this particular way of being able to work with your audio and your video throughout the session. Now, there are some other ways that you can do this. Obviously, Camtasia version 7 or 8 is fine. That's the minimum. You can use a program called Screencast-O-Matic. It does a lot of the same things that Camtasia does, and it's a lot more cost effective, right? So if you feel like $200 or $300 is a big bite, then you can get Screencast-O-Matic. It does many of the same things, and honestly, to do some of the things we're going to be doing, it's going to work just fine. It's going to work differently, however, it's going to work fine. And then you can use any of the Adobe programs. I think there's Adobe Presenter, and then the Adobe Audio or the Adobe Video Editor. So the first thing we're going to do is video to audio. That's going to be fairly obvious, and this is probably something that you know. However, we do want to just start from the beginning. And so if you have your video editor, all you're really going to need to do is to pull a video, typically an MP4, into your timeline. Now, in Camtasia, you need to import that video. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to import the video into Camtasia. I'm going to bring this into the canvas area. And when I bring that into the canvas area, all I need to do is to bring it down to the timeline. Typically, whatever your editing program is going to be doing, it's always going to work so that you've got to bring it onto the timeline, right? And so all we need to do in Camtasia, and you're going to have to do this in your video editor in the same way, you're going to have to then split the video and audio. Right, and typically that's going to be one click. In Camtasia it is. And so all we need to do then is we're going to go to Camtasia, we're going to go onto the timeline. I'm going to right click that timeline, and then you're going to see a menu item here. It's going to say separate video and audio. And then we're just going to click that. And then you're going to be able to see the audio, and you'll notice the audio because you can see the peaks and valleys in where the talking is happening. And then the video. And that's all we really need to do in order to turn our video into audio. Because when in Camtasia, all we need to do then is just delete the video track, right? And then we can just pull this down to the available track. All we need to do then is just save this file now. And in Camtasia, what we call the saving process is rendering. And again, I know this is probably something that you know already. However, we do want to just go over this. And then we're just going to render this file. In Camtasia, we're just going to click Produce and Share. Actually, what we can do is we can just click Share to My Places. That's going to share it to our hard drive. And then when you do that, Camtasia is going to give you one option. Right, and the one option Camtasia is going to give you is MP3. So everybody see that? Okay, so if you see that, please put the number 1 in the question box. And again, this is all pretty simple. I know this is probably something that you know already, but we're just going to go through this. And then we just click the next button. Right, now I'm going to start the process, and I'm just going to click next. We're not going to complete it. Just so that you'll know, the rendering process is going to produce an MP3 audio. Right, and so basically I'll just click next. It's going to ask me if I want to change this. Now, typically what you can do is you can increase the quality of your audio. You can run this up to 192 bits. Now, again, when you do this, you want to make sure that your computer's got the capacity to do that. Camtasia will allow you to add in some things to the file. So for example, if you want to label or tag your file with a title, a subject, a category, you want to make sure your file is going to have all of these things in it. You can do that, especially if you're going to sell it, then that's something that you want to do. And then we're just going to click next. And then we're going to give this a title. And again, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to go through this process because we're on a webinar. I don't want to run up the memory, but the rendering process really starts right here. Now, one of the things that Camtasia will ask you if you want to do is whether or not you want to organize or produce files into subfolders, right? And we're not going to do that, right? So we're just going to produce the file. And we're just going to give it a name, test file. And it's going to produce an MP3. And you'll see that down here. It's going to say test file, MP3. Okay, are there any questions? Any questions about anything that we did so far? Again, very simple things that you've probably done already, depending on what your editing program is. And that's probably the simplest thing that you can do with video. Just turn it into audio. Okay, so now, we're now going to turn our audio into text, right? So we're going to turn audio into text. So let's say that what you did was you produced an audio. Let's say you went through this process and you produced an audio. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to clear this sector. And for now, we're not going to use Camtasia for this next process. There are a couple of things that you can do. Now, in most cases, what you can do is you can use, if you have it, Dragon Naturally Speaking, in order to turn audio into text. You can also outsource it, and let me show you where you can do that. You can go to a site. If you want a human transcriber, you can go to a site called rev.com, and you can do that typically at $1 a minute. So if you have a 1-hour transcription, you can have the transcription for $60, right? So if you have an hour's worth of audio, that's how much it's really going to cost. Now, an easier way to do this can be if you're willing to do a little work yourself, and you're willing to have someone else either clean up the audio or at least look at it. Rev.com has a sister site, and you may have heard of it already, and it's called Temi.com. So let's take a look at Temi.com, Temi.com. How many of you have heard of Temi.com? How many of you have heard of Temi.com? Right, Temi.com, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to put this in the chat box here so you can see it. You can visit the site while we're looking at it. And what we're going to do is we're going to then just pick up our file, right? So I'm going to go here. I'm just going to pick up an audio file, right? I'm going to upload a file, and I'm just going to pick up any audio. In this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up that test file. When it's about, I'm going to say how this is about it's a 1 minute and 18 second file, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and click open. Okay, so now what I have here inside of Temi is I have a file, and you'll notice here about Temi is that this 1 minute video is going to cost me 20 cents in order to do. Right? Does everybody see that? So again, the benefit to Temi is that it's fairly affordable. Now again, you're going to have to be willing to do a little work, but if you think about it, you're going to probably save over 90% of the cost of a normal transcription. Right? And again, now you're not going to get a professional transcription. You're going to get an okay transcription. Right? So let's go ahead and do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the checkout process. I'm going to do that off screen because I'm going to have to go into PayPal in order to do that. Right? I'm going to bring that back now. And that was fairly simple, right? So I'm just going to click OK. And we're just going to play this app. So Timmy's going to produce a transcript. I'll show you a transcript that I produced earlier. And you're going to notice here about Timmy, and what I like about Timmy is that if you look at the transcription, you'll notice here that what we have is we have that we can follow the transcription with the audio. So it matches up the transcription with the audio. And that's going to help us in a number of different ways, especially if what we want to do is we want to go and we want to create something else with the audio, because now we know where the transcription falls in the actual recording. So we know that this part of the transcription happened right around 53 seconds into the audio. Right now, again, the other benefit to this is that it is affordable, right? So 10 cents a minute is a lot different than $1 a minute. And you're going to get a pretty high quality document. Now, again, you are going to have to do some cleaning up, but you can actually do this. But let's kind of go back and see if our document is ready. Let's take a look at it here. And our document is ready. So you'll notice here now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shut this off. And so we did a minute transcription. It took about a minute 44 seconds. So again, very fast. And what we're going to do is I'm going to open up this transcript. Okay, very, very short. I can then click download to this. Right, I can download this into Microsoft Word. Okay, I can decide to include the speaker names. I can exclude them. I can include the timestamps or exclude them. I like to include the timestamps typically, but I can always go back and produce a version where I don't include the timestamps, right? Because this is going to kind of be in here inside of my counts. I'm just going to go ahead and download this. And let's go ahead and just click this button. And then it's going to open it up into Microsoft Word. Okay, and then here's my transcript, right? Now again, I didn't have much to do, so there wasn't much to time. And it's got everything within a time because I only did 1 minute. But again, you're producing a pretty good document to work from in order to go from audio to text. Right, is everybody clear on that? Does that make sense? Is everybody with me? Okay, any questions about that? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. Right, so we've gone from audio to text. Right, so now we're going to go from video to silent video. Right, and that's going to be pretty much what we did before. But what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite, right? So we're now going to pick up. I'm going to import this. I'm going to import this video. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this onto the timeline, right? Once again. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to click right. I'm going to separate the video and audio. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a silent video. Now for those of you who are kind of following, what can I do with a silent video? You might ask, why would I want to do that? Well, this is for people who would like to be able to narrate their own video. Maybe you get a PLR video, and what you want to do is you want to do it in your own voice, or you want to have a voiceover person do it. Right? Maybe you didn't like the script you got. Maybe you didn't like the way the person narrated. So what you're going to do, you're going to take out the audio. And now this is how this works in Camtasia. I'm going to show you how this works in Camtasia. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go to the voice narration. And when I do this, if I actually click recording, what's going to happen is this timeline is going to move. Now, I'm not going to do this because it's going to take out my mic if I do this. But as I read, I can then walk through the process, and Camtasia is going to move this through the video as if it were running. And what I can do is I can record my own voiceover. right? So that's what I would do with a silent video, and I get to do it as if I were watching it play, right? Does that make sense? Is everybody with me on that? So basically what you're doing is you're taking somebody else's PLR video and now you're adding in your own voice, and you're using the tool though inside of Camtasia. Now you don't want to try to do this outside of this tool. This tool is what this is designed for, right? That's what they made it for. So this tool will actually make it easy for you. Now again, the only reason we're not going to turn on this tool is because we're already using a mic associated with GoToWebinar. This would actually try to take the mic from my PC, and we'd be out that mic. And then once we produce the audio, right, then we just render the new MP4, right? We just produce a brand new MP4. And basically what we've done is we've just taken the video and we've placed another voiceover over it. Okay, very good. So we've now gone from video to silent. And I've done this a couple of times, but I know this is going to be new to some other folks, so I'm going to go ahead and do this again. What we're going to do now is we're going to produce slides, and we're going to produce this. Now, what would you do with slides? Well, one of the things you would do is you can take a video and you can produce a document based on your video, right? So somebody else has done the hard work in doing on-screen videos, right? You can then take those on-screen videos and then you can produce your own slides from them, right? So how would you do that? Well, I'm going to turn this off right now. Just going to go back to the canvas. Let's go back to the canvas. There's no audio playing right now. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let the cursor play. I'm going to come to this point. And let's just say that this is the point at which my video changes. In Camtasia, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control F. Right, I'm going to hit Control F. I'm going to now, let's see, I'm going to just do this in a new folder. New folder 2. And when I do this, I'm going to call this 0001. And I'm going to call this iPhone screen. Right? I'm going to do it just this way because what I'm trying to do is to make sure that I do this in order. If I do this, if I number my files correctly, it's going to go in chronological order. So I'm going to let the video play some more. Screen's going to change again. I'm going to say, oh, I'd like to take a picture of this one. So I'm going to click Control F. And then I'm going to call this one 0002. Now again, I know a number of you all have seen me do this before. So iPhone screen, I'm going to call this 2. I'm going to let this play. I'm going to call this one, I'm going to hit Control F. I'm going to call this 0003, iPhone screen 3. Now again, I don't have to call it, I can call it whatever I want, right? The most important part is that I named it and numbered it 0003. I'll just do this once more for good measure, right? So we'll come here, I'll click Control F, and then what I'll do is I'll click 0004. I'll put iPhone screen 4, right? Click Save. Right, so now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to just do away with this for now. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go inside of that folder. Right, but before I do that, let's go ahead, let's open up a PowerPoint presentation. And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click Insert. I'm going to insert a photo album. I'm going to go to that folder where I put those files. Right? I need to find them myself here now, right? Right, so now I'm going to go and pick up all those files. And again, remember I named these in chronological order, so So now that I've got them all here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the picture layout. I'm going to do one picture with a title. And I'm going to choose the theme. Now, typically, Microsoft Office will open this up into its own directory. So again, try not to change this because you don't want this to open up into something different. It will typically open up into the directory where you can choose a theme. And the Office theme is the plain white theme, so that's the one I'm going to choose. And then all I'm going to need to do is then I'm going to click Create. Right, so now all I need to do here is I need to change this to whatever my presentation is going to be. iPhone screen. And I can take this out. Now the reason that I wanted to name this correctly was now I know this is going to be the first one, right? Because I wanted these slides to appear in order. Now these slides are now in chronological order because we did the numbering correctly. Does that make sense, everybody? So you did the numbering correctly. So these slides are going to appear in order. So now you can call this whatever you want, whatever this. I'm just going to put 0001. 02, right? You can name these whatever you want. 03, and then 00004. And then, of course, you can save this as a presentation or you can save it as a PDF. Right? Is everybody clear on that? Right? Turning video into presentations. All right, very good. So now, what we want to do is we want to turn that video or audio into animated video. Now, in order to do that, you're going to need some kind of animated software. Right? Now, in this case, I'm going to be using Sparkle. I know a number of you probably have something like, maybe you have, Easy Sketch Pro. Either way, doesn't really matter which one you use. Right, the process is going to be the same. Right now, I'm going to open up Sparkle, and the only reason I'm going to open up Sparkle is we're not going to update this. I'm going to create a new scribe, and again, in order to create something new inside of Sparkle or any of the video creators, I'm going to add the audio first, right? And so you see, I've got an upload here, so I'm going to import my MP3. All right, I'm going to come back here, and I'll just grab that audio. Where's the audio there? I can choose to loop it if I want to inside of Sparkle, but again, it's not as important just to know now that this is how we can then start working with our audio. And now what we're going to do is we're going to build animated scenes based on the audio. Now this is where our having that transcript is going to help us. Right? Now let me show you this for a second. And I hope that I still have it. Now remember how we got the transcript from Timmy? So now I can then draw a picture and I can time that picture based on this information. I know now at about the 53-second mark, I can time my picture to look like whatever's based on what's in here. I can then go to the 1 minute and 49-second mark and I can time it based on what's here. Does that make sense, everybody? So one of the trickier parts of being able to do animated video is matching the pictures and the words. But Timmy actually does part of that process for you. And so as a result of that, what you're doing here is you're going to then be able to more easily be able to produce this kind of video. Okay, so and then the last thing we're going to be able to do here, let's say that what you have in your video, you have a PowerPoint video. I'm going to grab anyone. Now, one of the things that we can do in order to vary our video is that we can add what's called B-roll, right? How many of y'all know what B-roll is, right? You've heard of B-roll. B-roll is basically stock video, right? Let's say you have a stock video of somebody who's typing, or you have a stock video of somebody who is frustrated, or you have a stock video of somebody who is playing with their kids. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that stock video, and I don't know if I have any stock video. I'm going to see maybe if I can import some of that in here. Right, so let's just pull in an MP4. Let's pull in that MP4, and let's say that that MP4 is your stock video, right? It's your stock video. And what you're going to do is you're going to say, hey, you know, when I get to this point in the video, instead of having the video play what's on the screen, I'm then going to have my B-roll play, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click. I'm going to add in my B-roll, right? So let's say the B-roll has audio in it. What am I going to do with that audio? Well, I'm going to separate the audio and the video. I'm going to take the audio out. I'm then going to come here to the B-roll. I'm going to cut it. Right? Let's say I'm going to cut it some more here. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now have that video play right on top of here, so that what's going to happen is that when the video gets to this point, it's going to play something entirely different. So what I can do here in Camtasia is I can then add in transitions, right? So I can add in some transitions so that this video appears here and then it fades back out. Right, so let's say that what I wanted to do is I'm going to add a transition here. Right, so the transition fades in, fades out. Okay, does everybody understand about how you add in B-roll? Right, does that make sense? So you get some stock video. So how many of y'all have ever used stock video? Right, so maybe you probably purchased it, but you probably never really used it. And one of the ways that you can use it is with your PLR video. So let's say that your PLR video starts talking about, working from home, and you have some stock video of, let's say, of a dad. He's typing on his computer, or a mom. She's typing on her computer, and she's working with her kids right there. Right, so instead of just having that video play or that PowerPoint play, you're going to have that scene, live action of your B-roll play, and then go back to your PowerPoint video. Does that make sense? So B-roll is stock video. So stock video would be, let's say that you have a live action video of, let's say, of a gentleman who's typing at his computer. And all you're doing is you're substituting that instead of, and letting that play on your timeline instead of just showing PowerPoint. Right? Maybe you don't want your viewer to be bored with PowerPoint. You say, hey, I'm going to make my video, I'm going to spice it up a little bit, and I'm going to put the gentleman typing and show that instead of the PowerPoint. All right, so thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.